Good afternoon, all. On the latest episode of the Turn It Round the Corner podcast, I have Tom Bailey from Southend United with me. It'll be a strange one as a staunch Leyton Orient supporter that I've got a Southend United employee in my house talking about Southend. But I think everyone probably in the world of football is aware of the troubles that Southend had. Obviously, we went through it ourselves at Leyton Orient and come out the other side. Southend, new ownership, looking to do the same. I think that's a story that's been told quite a lot. But I think sometimes the story that gets forgotten is around the academy. Tom Bailey is the Centre of Excellence lead for Southend United. He's also the under-18 coach. So, Tom, good afternoon. How you doing?
All good, thank you.
Yeah, good.
Very well.
Yeah, you having a good week?
Well, training this morning.
Coaching
it absolutely poured down, which happens pretty much every day at the moment.
Yes.
So it is what it is, but it's still an enjoyable job regardless of the weather.
Yeah, he's still out on the grass, right? So I suppose if we take it back, obviously Southend got relegated out of the EFL in 2021. For people that don't know, people that probably don't know the ins and outs of academy football, could you just explain a little bit in regards to the funding that happens from the EFL once you drop out the league into the conference?
So basically, you get put on a 2-year timer,
right?
For the first team to go back up into the EFL to keep your status. So the first year out of the EFL is fully funded by the EFL, like a parachute payment, sort of thing. The second season is half funded, but the other half you have to make up yourself with the football club. So there was great losses during the second season, and then the third season there is no funding whatsoever, and you lose your status as an EFL academy. So even if you decided to fund it fully yourself, you still lose that Cat 3 status. So a drawback to that would be players, you could fund the whole academy yourself, but if a Arsenal or Chelsea, West Ham, whoever it was, even Colchester, Leyton Orient, wanted your player, there's no compensation attached to that player.
Right.
So any player could walk out for free.
So where does the land lie then when you look at, and I think we'll get onto that and the league probably that Southend are playing in now, but how does that differ then? So teams in the conference, for instance, I've seen, should we say Ebbsfleet, Woking, whatever, those Cat 4 academies, I take it they're the same, that you can have a full program of scholars, whatever, everything else. Obviously they're not paid scholars, right?
I wouldn't have thought so, no. You can pay them for expenses, or if you had a way of paying them, you can agree something, but nothing like it was a scholarship on the EFL programme. So
they have a Cat 4 programme, and obviously they're probably playing other Conference South teams, right? But there's no registration held with the EFL, so again, no compensation.
No, it's the same thing. A club like, you said, Woking, Ebbsfleet, they can have similar structures to what we have now, but those players can be taken for free.
So if we scrape it back then, so for them first 2 years, should we say outside the league, this is the fourth season, right? Southend are outside. So for the first 2 seasons, it ran as normal.
Yep.
Obviously, unfortunately, at the end of that 2 years, most clubs are probably going to do the same thing, that the academy was closed.
Yes.
So last year, what was in effect for last year? What? So I suppose the majority of your what they going at pre-academies under 8. So the majority of the under 9s to the under 16, 17 program until they turn YT, that all goes, correct? What did you run last season?
Last season was just an under 19s program. It was our first season in the National League Youth Alliance, under 19 Youth Alliance. We had a team competing in that. Below that, there was nothing. All players from 9s to 16s from last season would have gone back to it. Some players would have been picked up by other academies. Yeah, I know there was a lot of trials in the first few months, in particular. A lot of messages from parents saying, "Can I go on trial? Can I do this, and that?" The answer for us was always yes. A free agent, you can go and do whatever. You can trial with whoever you please. The ones that didn't get picked up by academies went back to grassroots football, and that's where they've been for the last season.
Okay, so fast forward to this season then, what is the obviously it's come with the new ownership and the new sort of change to move forward and new happier times, but what have Southend now putting in place in regards to their academy?
So we're relaunching a centre of excellence. and that is effectively the old academy program.
Okay.
We're calling it Centre of Excellence, so there is some differentiation between the old academy system and what it is now.
Yep.
The Centre of Excellence, it's almost like it's not enough football for a full-time
football.
We can't offer that yet. Logistically, in the first year, it was too difficult. But every age group gets one session per week, and they get one game a month as a minimum. Under 16s get a little bit more because they're 1 year of our youth team, so they're 2 times a week training plus 2 games a month. But the idea is to try and it's the first step in Southend United reintroducing the academy system.
Sure. So
ideally, if Southend United's first team get promotion this year, next year, whenever it is,
it's an easy step.
We have a system in place that we can transfer it over. And that it might not be done if Southend got promoted this year. It might not be ready for next season.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of work to be done between May and June, for example. Yeah. So it might be a little bit too much. But as long as the first team was to stay up in that first season, there is a system in place where we can re-establish an EFL programme.
I was having a conversation with someone the other day about Bromley, obviously forgetting that Bromley had got promotion back into the Football League. Do they give you a certain amount of time now, the EFL, that you've got to have an academy up and running? Is it 12 months max?
I'm not sure on that one, actually. I know that Bromley straight away, though, can't be in our youth team programme. They were taken out of the league straight away. They had to be in the EFL under 18 programme. I'm not sure on 9 to 16s. You might get a 1 year's grace.
Yeah.
But I know Bromley's under 19s are straight out of our league.
Right,
and so they must have gone straight into the EFL.
Because Mark Patterson, obviously, he's been around youth football for a long time. He was academy director at Leyton Orient. He's gone to join Bromley. Okay. And I think someone told me that they have a year's grace in the lower level. So, scraping back to the youth team and what you've got now. So, you currently run the under 18s and you have another age group as well. Is that correct?
I coach the under 18s.
Okay.
Danny Heath is still the youth team manager. So under 8, basically, our youth team's been split in 2 youth teams, under 18s, under 19. Just where now the EFL programme was under 18s team, National League under 19s. So we have our under 19s team. Last year we felt we could fit a team below them.
Okay.
So it just means more players in the door, more game time. You can recruit more players knowing that you've got 2 games every Wednesday. So our under 19s now compete in the National League South Division, which is probably the top league outside of the EFL.
Okay.
That includes teams like Aldershot, Woking, Bournemouth, those sort of teams. And then the under 18s compete in Division A, which is a more localised one. So like to Romford, Chelmsford City, Billericay Town.
Okay.
There's a few teams like Lowestoft Town and Kings Lynn in there as well. So we've got the 2 teams. Danny Heath still oversees that.
Right.
He leads the under 19s. I take the under 18, the second team.
Okay. So in regards to that programme, are they obviously they're not classed as full-time scholars. Are they going to school, normal college? Is there an education part of it still with Southend? Right.
So it's been really good this year. I think the transfer over from everything from the club to the trust has helped.
Okay.
It's allowed us to liaise with them so much better. But we train in the morning, so a typical day would be like a Monday today. Train 10 till 12.
Yeah.
Lunch 12 till 1. College from 1 till 3, for example.
Okay.
And the college is all on site where we train at Garrans.
So let's scrape that back first of all, because I think that's a really important point. So when you talk about the change from the club to, did you say the community? Yes. The trust? Yeah. So just explain to me a little bit about what happened there.
It was just in terms of...
That happened during the takeover, or...?
Yes, the trust could better fund the academy.
Okay.
Better fund the 19s programme. So it was just agreed between the hierarchy of both.
Sure.
That it would be transferred over, and that included the staff members such as myself from Southend United Football Club to Southend United Community Trust.
Okay.
And the trust they suggested, you've got your 19s team, let's get a second team below them.
Sure.
So we can recruit more players, but more game time for everyone. And then they pushed bringing back the academy as well.
Okay.
Of excellence. So the trust, since we had a meeting, I think it was April time.
Right.
And then from there, they've been pushing to get everything in place quickly, and it has been done. They've been brilliant, to be fair, since we moved over.
So for people that wouldn't know, I don't really know. I know our trust work, obviously, in business. How's that funded, Tom? How is that set up? So is the trust completely different from Southend United?
Yeah, I believe so, in terms of the different businesses, yeah.
Okay.
But obviously, they share the brand.
Sure. And where are they getting the funding from for? So,
for example, Centre of Excellence, at the moment, the players pay per session.
Okay.
Stuff like that. So that covers the facilities and the staffing.
Okay.
And things like that. And then for the academy, there's fees related to education. So you get a certain amount per every player that's on the education program.
So like let's just say very famous, obviously the Maidstone, for instance. It used to be, I think you used to get like $3,000 a kid off local government. So that they can do that in that program. Oh, great. Okay. So you're saying that they train in the morning and then they go to college, and where they do that at Garrans?
Yes, at Garrans, yeah. So all the education staff from the community are based at Garrans as well.
Okay.
So they don't just cover the 2 youth teams. They've got loads of college teams. I think it's 5 college teams as well. So it is constantly very busy. But yeah, the youth team have the schedule, train morning 10 till 12, not always 10 till 12, but we have the pitch from 9 till 12, and then the break after, and then into college for the afternoon.
And so the Southend community, you're saying the other teams, are they teams just attached to Southend College?
Yes, Southend Community Trust, yeah.
Okay, because the only reason I ask that question is because pretty similar to the Southend situation, in the second year that Orient were in the conference, we were neck and neck with Salford in regards to who went up. It's very neck and neck. The academy, I think, was a bit up in the air about, that second year and the funding and whether it was going to continue. So they started, I would say, probably one of those, like a college scheme through the local college to run side by side the normal program, the apprentice YT program. In the end, we got promoted, but I think that was like their safety net at the time. So I suppose, are you seeing boys come like maybe that have not missed the boat, but someone hasn't picked up that are playing in the college team that have progressed into the
players
youth
have.
They have?
Players have, yes. Players have in the last couple of years gone from the college A team, which play in the CIFA League. CIFA League is a good standard for the college league.
Okay.
It's a league against other professional clubs.
Sure.
Everything's done in terms like that. You wear like Brentford or Stevenage.
Okay.
And you wear the team's kits.
Okay.
So it is associated
like a foundation sort of. Yeah.
There have been players. There's been a player over the last 2 years, one per season, who have moved from the college A team into our youth team. One of them, George Pullum, has gone on to make his debut in a pre-season friendly for the first team.
Sure.
So that there is the pathway there for players that we always look at in terms of your recruitment. You'd be silly if your recruitment doesn't include your college A team.
Sure.
Because there are players that can be missed that want to train, want to be associated with Southend.
Okay.
So you do have to keep an eye on your college team, because it's an easiest avenue possible to recruit from. So
obviously, my son, as you know, Bert, come out of a Leighton Orient Academy. He was there for 4 years. I thought it was very just would suit him after, how rigorous it can be in an academy. There's a lot of, should we say, pressure. You're at it 4 times a week. I thought it'd do him good to not trial anywhere, to come back into grassroots, play with his mates, and obviously Southend appeared. Now I know full well that Southend just didn't appear. Talk to me about some of the work that you put in during the summer to get the wheels going on this.
The work was more, I reached out to every parent that had been on the programme before when the academy shut down, let them know that we were planning to bring the academy back in some format. Yeah. And then after that, it was a lot of parents came back. We've had very few who have turned around and said, I'm not interested, but thank you. Most parents have came back to it and said yes. So it was then a case of putting a plan together, what it looks like in terms of facilities, when we train.
Sure.
That sort of work, logistics, stuff like that, because finding facilities isn't easy. Particularly at quite short notice. But new 4G at the Dean's School, plus continuing at Goals. And both facilities have been really good for us. So getting the timetable was important. I did say to parents from day one, it was going to be a hybrid program alongside grassroots teams. It's never going to be, we can't come back in a first year and go straight into a full program. No. I think for those that are at the academy in this last 2 years or so, knows how understaffed we were. Parents saw that, staff saw it, we all saw it. There's nothing we could do about it. Yeah. But we were so understaffed, and logistically there was just nightmares everywhere because we were trying to get as much football as we can for the boys. The experiences, such as we still played in some great tournaments towards the end of it. We played in an international tournament in Stevenage with the likes of Benfica, Racing, and Porto. But it was difficult. So we said straight away, we can't go back into a full programme because the worst thing would be is setting up again and then being understaffed again. And then straight away you're back into struggle.
You also don't want to set up that programme right and without doing anyone injustice, but I would say look at some of the sessions that I've watched, there's quality there. But as you know, when you're in that academy environment, the fitness, playing 420s, the just being able to deal with that physicality and the tempo all the time, there is a different level, right? And you can notice that. So also as well, you didn't want to put them boys back into an environment where it's going to take time to get used to as well.
No,
right?
Of course. A lot of boys in their year off, there'd have been different experiences. Some would have gone to find the best grassroots team around.
Yeah.
Others would have played with their friends' teams.
Yeah.
So it was a case of, for every player that was in the system at the end of that year where the academy shut down, every player got a year back in the academy, regardless of where they've been, whether they've played football at the highest DJ level, whether they've played with their friends, whether they've not played at all.
Right.
Everyone gets 1 year to prove themselves, see where they're at.
Like a year's grace.
Yeah. And then at the end of the season, if they're not quite level, unfortunately there will be a retaining release in place. It still has to be an elite environment to it. But we feel given that 1 year, we let every parent know, look, regardless of where you've been for this year, this is what you get. You get 1 year to prove yourself. You get 1 year to get back up to speed. But also getting to play alongside the grassroots teams. It's the extra football. Ideally, they'd play it as high level as possible. But I know some haven't. And that's just the way it is. But they do get, alongside the grassroots, that taste of the elite environment again, which is, and looking at the team at Southend, not just with the players that have come back from the old system. The trialists have been we had a trial day, which was August time, and I've been on all the trial days before. Luckily, we announced it at a very similar time to when the takeover was complete. Now, my email was on the bit of media that went out, and as soon as it got released, my phone was going off. I had to turn my notifications off. There was hundreds over the 5 trial days, and the quality was really, really good. Normally, trial days you'd set up a whole trial day, and if you got 1 or even 2 players that can come into the academy, you'd say that's a success. That was worth doing. Probably we were getting 4 or 5 per age group that are good enough to go into an academy environment, which is really promising. So once the trial days were set up and completed, it was just a case of getting the training started. For me, setting up the syllabus, which was an important task, and then getting that syllabus out to parents. I think parents want transparency. And I know with the last couple of years, through the fault of no one associated with the academy, there wasn't much transparency.
Sure.
There was a lot of question marks. Parents would be asking me questions that I've not got a clue on the answer with.
Of course.
Way above my station. So I wanted to get the parent handbook out as soon as possible with the syllabus on it, what we're doing, how we're training, what we're training, as early as possible so parents can look through it, and the response to everything has been really, really good.
We're scraping it back, like you said, when you called the players that had been existing, the people that said, obviously I don't want to come back. There's probably a small percentage of those that obviously, because of the bad instances of the past, which is obviously the bad ownership, obviously is not on the academy, but you're always going to get the odd one right that says no. How many of those kids do you think found other teams within a sort of an EFL program? Was there many that moved on, or did you think a lot just went and played grassroots for a year, hoping that one day it'd come back?
A lot did play grassroots.
Yeah,
quite a few ended up moving on to, in the older age groups, to other EFL programs. But the younger ones, I think something I noticed at Southend was,
I know Warwick got quite a few.
Warwick got quite a few in the older groups.
The higher age groups.
Yeah. I think some of the younger groups had become so tight-knitted that boys going out of that environment into another elite environment where the demands are so high, but out your comfort zone can be difficult.
Yeah.
Even if you're a player that's comfortably a Category 3 level academy player, moving to another Category 3 trial, but you're out your environment, there's demands on you, there's pressure on you, you're the new boy on the block.
Yeah.
So whether they take you or not, young players alike, because we're under 11s. You're not under 18s where your trialist comes in and you can put your arm around him, you can talk to him.
Yeah.
Under 11s not always the case.
No.
It can be difficult.
It's also it's away from anywhere as well, right? Southend. That's why I've always thought they've been a big club in the past and can be a big club. You look at their attendances now, but if I look at it from a selfish point of view, I'm picking Bertie up from down the road after school. I was going straight to training because it's an hour at best, right?
Yeah.
But you can get stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
Like if you live in Southend, there's not many places you can go, right?
No.
It's like if you lived in Colchester or somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Those one club towns that if you're not banging the centre of London and you can pick 15 clubs, you have got to do some travelling as well, and that might not suit.
I think there was players who are back at Southend now who I know are good enough to go to another academy.
Yeah.
But I did know as well in my head they won't be able to go because of the travelling.
Yeah.
Because I know even being in Southend and training in Southend, the parents that work, it's not always easy to get to training at 7 o'clock when it finishes.
Yeah.
So there's always a case of some parents who struggle with that in Southend. So Southend's always been very lucky with its catchment area.
Yeah.
It's always been a huge asset to the academy because we can cover such a huge area without too much competition.
Yeah.
So it does work. It has worked in our favour again with players coming back. Obviously, players that did move on from Southend to another academy in that period would have gone without blessing. We wouldn't begrudge anyone that. But we knew it would work in our favour that a lot of players would still be in grassroots, and the idea of coming back to Southend would be something to jump at.
Yeah. So then you've got it running, and obviously you said you had lots of uptake. So talk to me about now what you have put in place for this centre of excellence. So that what age groups are they? How many times a week you train? What different teams you've got?
So we've gone from under 19s to 16s. Ideally, we'd have under 8s as well. But logistically, for the first year, just with pitch space, is a little bit tight.
Under 9s to under 16s.
So I've got under 9s to under 16s. So we train at the Dean's School, brand new 4G on a Tuesday. That's under 13s to under 16s. And then we train at Goals on a Thursday, which is under 9s to under 12s, plus 16s, take a small area of the pitch so we can get them training twice a week. So we've got the schoolboy program back in place. The old, what 9-16s would have been. We haven't got the old pre-academy back yet. But we are hoping the next step, either in the next season or two, will be to bring under 8s in place. But we've got those 8 teams. They train, as I said, once a week, and we get games whenever we can. So in October, half term, we've got Dartford away, all age groups 9s to 16s, which is perfect for us because we get one game a month as a standard. Yeah. So if we can get all games on the same day, it's a long day for me because it is all staggered. Yeah. So I think I've got 6 games back to back.
But is that Prince's Park, Dartford?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So, but that's the game, and then we'll get other opportunities to play games as well. We're playing Havering District at the moment on Friday evenings. They're bringing quite a few teams in. We played our under-15s, played Great Wakering last Friday night at Dean's. The under-16s have played 2 games against Futures, which is Ipswich's like shadow squad sort of thing, plus another showcase team. So the game's in place, and teams always want to play. Southend's always had a good academy, so arranging games wouldn't be an issue.
Havering District, good. A lot of West Ham boys out there. Always been a strong district.
Yes, we've got them on Friday. We've got our under-13s are playing this Friday. Yeah. And then in 2 weeks' time, I think it's our under-11s, under-12s playing against them as well.
So what, I suppose, ideally as you grow, it's obviously you're developing your centre of excellence. Did you say you've got other teams under that as well? Do you have shadow squad?
We have a shadow squad. Yeah, the shadow squad moved across to the community as well. Right. Shadow squad on Friday nights. Huge uptake to that as well. Yeah. And it started to. The uptake was massive in terms of offers we got out for that, and then that's running really smoothly at the moment now as well. So we have got a good shadow squad below. I was over there, not last Friday, the Friday before that, to see, and again there are good players over there. Yeah, and it looks really good because we've got 4 courts, we've got the full pitch, so there's a lot of players over there, and hopefully, if we can push them, there'll be players that we can take from there into our centre of excellence for trial periods, and if they do well, to sign them.
Sure. So I suppose how obviously the end goal, I suppose, is dictated to by the first team, right? The end goal is obviously to be a full EFL member club again and have an academy. Is, I suppose, the plan is to, I don't know, is it to just make it as good a centre of excellence as possible until that moment happens, or?
Yeah, we have to, and we take a lot of parent feedback in as well. At the moment, parents seem happy with the structure we have in place. Whether we move to a full programme, we're not sure.
Sure.
Before, as a centre of excellence, but the big thing for us is the pathway is still the same as an EFL club. The under-16s will still get offered a place in Southend youth team if they're the right quality of player, and then the youth teams, the 2 youth teams, sit below the first team. So the pathway is there. Then last season we had 2 players from our youth team sign professional contracts with Southend's first team.
Yeah.
So it just shows that regardless of the change in structure, the loss of status, the pathway is still the same. You can still go from under 9 Southend to Southend first team through a centre of excellence as you did with the academy.
And then Tom, you touched on a little bit about that. So the under 16. So obviously they're under 16. Is that year 11? That's the last year of school, right? So in the current situation, obviously they're not classed as, you know, a full-time scholar because obviously the EFL, but you've got the college program. Does that allow, for instance, say right now you've got a really talented athlete, and you've got a really talented football student? Could they manage that where they go to like a sixth form or another school as well, or do they have to really make that choice still about whether they want to go down the football, the education route?
We have boys who do both at the moment.
Right.
Only a very small handful.
Because obviously if you're in an EFL program, right, it's harder to fit round. You normally go college on a Wednesday or whatever it is. Yeah. But I suppose right now, is there a concession to be made by the football club that, you know, you're not full time, you're not an EFL club, you're trying to balance the both?
We do allow it. We have allowed it for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Being a National League program, it's difficult. It does depend on the school.
Yeah.
Like, the timetable has to balance. I think.
So is it more the school's got to let them out between 10 to 12 to train? Is that
not every day? No,
right.
We don't. Some schools, look, we've had some players, we've had issues with, not issues, but some schools have said no, he's got to be in this day, and we can't do much about it because if he signs up to their sixth form, that's his education. You got to do education by law until you're 18.
Of course.
So if that's what his education says, then it doesn't matter if they're signed for us or whatever. We can't get them out of school unless the school allows it. So it does create. Ideally, do our education system because we do the timetable around that. Like I said, it's training, then college. Whereas school, if you've got a lesson, 1 year A levels Monday morning, they're not going to let you out at 10 to go training. So in an ideal world, players will do the education with us because it gives them the best chance, we feel, of making it as a professional footballer. I don't think you can't half do it. You can't be at school 4 days a week, come out on match days, and still make it a professional footballer. You're not going to do enough training. If it was that easy,
not enough minutes on the grass.
Would do it. So you need that time on the grass to train. So ideally for us, as long as if they can do that, they can go to a school, they can do their own education. But the big thing is they must do enough training. Otherwise, we're not going to, because we have the agreement, we're not going to go against the boy when it comes to selection on a match day because he's not been available for training, because ultimately we agreed to that.
Yeah.
But longer down the line, we do have to admit that there is less chance of him making it a professional footballer because of his less time on the grass.
And what is the education, Tom, right now? So if you're a scholar or a student with Southend, you've got your football piece, but what part of education are they taking?
Sports BTEC they do.
Right, okay.
So I know that the top part of it is the equivalent of 3 A levels.
Right.
So it still is, if it wasn't to work out at Southend, you could still get into a good university.
Okay.
Or offer that. So the sports BTEC is, they work hard at it. The college tutors are very good with how they deliver the education. And I said, I think the most important thing to all players making that choice is if it doesn't work at Southend, being full-time on a programme, you can still move to university. I know a lot of them not just look at university here, they look over in the States
in
as
the
well.
States, yeah,
but you
100%.
can get enough from our education department, from our education programme to fulfil that.
So you get enough for your SATs and things like that to go to the US?
Yes.
Okay. So at the top end of that, we've briefly touched on it, Tom. So the under-19s, they're playing in the Conference League, is it?
National League Youth Alliance.
So what does their week look like then in regards to like training and games?
So it is Monday. We'll do a longer sessions, normally hour and 45, 2 hours. Tuesday will be match prep because the league games are on Wednesdays.
Okay.
So a shorter session, hour session. Wednesday, game day. Thursday will be in for a very light session.
Yeah.
Rondos, very small-sided games. And then Friday again will be a slightly longer session. We have to tailor it as well because players can dual sign, which a lot of players do with men's teams. Okay. Or they can join the EGA teams, but most of them go down the pathway of men's football.
Okay.
Because it's a different experience.
So that was going to be my next question, but we'll get to that. So okay, that's Friday, and then are they doing anything at the weekend, or
we can arrange additional games at weekends?
Right.
Last year there was loads of them because we had one team.
Sure.
So the boys that weren't getting minutes, we were off a lot of Saturdays finding them the right minutes they need. This year we've not had that issue because we've got two teams. So there's 22 players starting every Wednesday. So it's not been a case of we need to find weekends and we can give players weekends off, which I do think it is a nice thing to have. A lot of players travel in quite a distance to get in to Southend. It's not all local boys. Players come from London. A couple of players are in digs. So there are players travelling a fair distance to get in. So if we can give them the weekend off, we will. But we've not had to do any extra games so far this season. But it is something we can do. If we get a team offer that's worth it, so last year we played games against Liverpool, Crystal Palace, QPR.
Okay.
If one of them was to offer a fixture on Saturday extra, it's worth going to. Because of the facility, because of the experience, we take it. But we're not in a position where we have to put on a game where we can't find professional teams. We're playing a showcase team to fill players' minutes up.
Sure.
We're not in that position anymore because most players are involved on the Wednesday because there's two teams.
So Wednesday's a full league, Tom. So and it's what comprises most of Conference South teams, or
yes, so they'll 19s. Said they played Maidstone last week.
Okay.
Maidstone, Woking, those sort of teams, and then the 18s are in with like Billericay Town, Chelmsford City.
And where would you say that standard, like that? Obviously, if we cast as a cat foot, what are the main differences? Would you say in regards to? I suppose that's the next step outside of a Cat 3 YTS. So, what are the differences? Would you say in standard or anything that you notice?
Standard wise, I was really impressed with the league last year. I think dropping down to it, we thought it would be. I think the players thought it'd be more comfortable than it was.
Okay.
I think the big difference is because it's away from an EFL program where development is hammered into every coach.
Sure.
National League still is a sense of that, of course, but it's more realistic football.
So it's more a 3-point environment,
yeah. Particularly for what they're going to go into in the National League. It is a physical league. Teams will go from back to front quickly.
Yeah.
They won't be afraid to do that. The result is all that matters for a lot of teams, and you can see straight away it's just a tougher environment to be in physically because they will have a lot of teams have third years up top. For example, a third-year striker who could be 6'2".
Yeah.
He's played 15 games for the men's team or a men's team.
Yeah.
And they're going back to front into his feet or for him to compete in the air.
Yeah.
That's not something you get in the EFL programme because, and rightly so, it's a different focus. It's focused on development.
So
you play through the third, you play it from the back, you do everything like that. But National League, going into that straight away, it's blood and thunder, which is...
Sounds a bit more realistic, definitely. So... Every team in that program, Tom, then is of the same program as Southend. So they've all got college students, and they're all sort of probably their weeks are the same.
Not sure if weeks are the same. Some would do. Some would do. It depends on the club's resources.
Yeah.
Like we've been very lucky. We get the pitch every day. Some might not be quite a 5 day a week.
Right.
They might be anything from 3 to 5.
Okay.
But
they're all doing the education as well, yeah?
Education, yeah. Same sort of program. I'm just not sure if team by team is quite as intense as we do at Southend 5 days a week.
Okay, and there was a couple of follow-up questions from your piece. So we spoke about a little bit before we went on air, and you touched on a little bit there. So how now not having, I suppose, an EFL program, does that change registration status, for instance? So just say I'm a youth team player at Southend. I'm playing for the trust. I'm playing in the Conference Youth League, but I want to, as you say, got weekends spare. I want to go and play for, let's just say, Great Wakering at the weekend or Billericay or whatever it is. How does that registration processed? Is that different now? And are you actively sort of pushing the boys still to get them out and get that work experience?
Yeah. So before, when we were in the EFL program, it would be a loan signing.
Yeah.
They'd come into the club.
Is that a youth experience? Yeah. 28 days or what is it?
Yeah.
Is that it?
They'd come in for a loan offer, and then we'd say yes. They'd go and they could still train with us during the daytime, because a lot of those teams train 2 evenings a week or however they do it. So train with us lightly during the daytime and then go and play matches for them at weekends or weekdays. Now it's a dual signing process. Okay. So players can sign for any men's team they want. So a lot of players go and play. We've got a few at step 4, step 5, a lot of step 6. Yeah. So they can go and do that, and then they'll play their Saturdays. They'll play a lot of week games as well. And it is just a case of we have to look at it and think. So, for example, if you've got a game Tuesday night, you won't train Tuesday morning for us. You'll get Tuesday morning off. Or if you've got a game Saturday with your men's team, you won't do as heavy a session on Friday. So if we do runs on Friday to finish, for example, a bit of fitness, the players that are playing the next day won't get involved with that, something like that. So we have to tailor it in terms of making sure players aren't doing too much, but players can go and sign for men's teams to play, get different experiences, which I think is an advantage of it, because you can doing both at the same time. Men's football, the experience of it is completely different to anything in the development process. So league games, cup games, 3 points on the line every single time you step out on the pitch for them. It's a different experience to what they were doing at under-16s, where they might have been in the league system, but again, it was very heavily focused on development. So now that they get a chance to play for a 19s, as a 19s program, we still operate like we did before. Our main goal is development. Yeah. And we could finish bottom half, bottom of the table. If we've got 2 players in the first team, that's success. Yeah. So we still run it like that. But obviously, if you then go and play for, like, say, Great Wakering, they're not that same waiting time. They are 3 points. So you go and play there, you get a completely different experience to what you're getting from us. And I think that blend of experiences really help players.
Yeah, I'm a massive advocate of kids going out at the right stage, getting the right loan. So that's definitely something that you're going to continue to encourage as you go forward. And then another point, Tom, that you made about sort of like the location of the boys. Obviously, we spoke about the catchment area and it being, big, and it's always been one of, I suppose, Southend's those secret weapons. But you're saying that the boys in the college program, they're still coming from all over. You still got boys in Diggs. How does that work in regards to the trust? And
Diggs is funded by players' parents themselves. Unfortunately, we don't do the funding for that anymore. Right. Now we lost the status. That was included in the funding from the EFL. But we still have players coming from reasonably far afield. Okay. It's still recognised that Southend is one of the top two academies in Essex. Yeah. And it's circumstantial at the moment. Obviously, Colchester are higher in the pyramid than the first team. But the players that get released from teams like Colchester, Gillingham, Orient, still look at Southend as a viable option to go to try and secure a professional contract. So we have had players, we still get a lot of players who drop out of those teams. Yeah. Look at us and contact us and say, can we come in on trial? Can you have a look at what we're about? So we still get players who drop out of the EFL programs. And when we go and look at games on Sundays, the best DGA games, it's quite easy to go and look at games. You have a look at the full-time website, who's at the top of the DGA leagues. Yeah. Go and find them, go and watch them. And Essex, most of the teams are reasonably local. You get Bales and Pixie, Concords, those sort of teams. But you go in London League, last year under 16s, Ryan FC were very, very strong.
Sure.
So we took a few players. We went in there, not took a few players, but we offered a few players a chance to come in from there. So as long as it's doable by journey, we leave it down to the player. Sure. We don't want players coming in, travelling 2 hours in, 2 hours back. That's not a way to live. But as long as they can do it in a reasonable time on the train, then
if you sort of classed it as a step 4, Tom, in the academy status, whatever you want to call it, where would you say is the closest step 4 club outside of Southend, just for competition wise?
Welling are in the same league as us. Dagenham have a programme.
Right.
Dagenham's programme isn't in the actual under-19s top league though. It's in the second league, so we played them last Wednesday as under-18s. I'll probably say Welling is our shortest trip of the season.
Still a long way though, isn't it? It's still a big catchment area in between.
Yeah. So in terms of players that get released from Colchester, you'd look at where do you go professionally. You don't normally go from be released at Colchester and move to Ipswich.
Yeah.
So Southend still is the team to go to.
Are you saying like just growing up like organically at the minute, Tom? There's no scouts out looking. That's more like what you and Danny Heath are doing, and then just sort of growing it that way until you get to a point, I suppose, where you're either in the EFL and you've got the budget for more staff.
Yeah, between us two and Oshin Seeger as well, so we've got 3 staff on the youth team.
Right.
Between us 3, we go out to watch games when we can.
Okay.
But also we do have, I said, with the community trust, there are loads of coaches who are out working.
Right.
So it's a big network. So they cover a lot of games at weekends, maybe not so much the under-19s side of things, but the younger side of things, whether they do sessions for teams as part of schemes set up by the community.
Okay.
So we don't have official scouts out working going to particularly watch a game. We can do that as part of our job, which we do. But there is still a big network of people working for us, for the club, who do have access to lots of football. So
you're obviously Danny Heath oversees the under-19s. You're involved with under-18s. Was it Oshin? You said
yes.
What does Oshin do?
So Oshin's between the two. Mostly with the under-19 supporting Danny. But he'll drop down with me sometimes as well. So it's a third coach, and Osh specialises in things sport science, psychology. So he's a bit of a different skill set to what me and Dan do as well. So between the 3 of us, we take the 2 teams.
So I suppose that's a good point. So how does like you obviously you've got the coaching side, I suppose, stripping away from the sort of the first team environment. Obviously you're training at a different venue. Where would you get access to some of, I suppose, the added extras of like sports science or gym? Do you have people that do that within the programme, or is that a little
currently in negotiation now to how we do it? We did have the gym at Boots and Laces last season because we used to train out at Boots and Laces, so we just had to make sure we avoided the first team schedule.
Sure.
It is something we're working out now
in
terms of sports science. We do have 2 interns over at the moment from Ireland who cover the sports science, cover all the running, the fitness part of the sessions. They're both very good. And we have Harry, who does the goalkeeping coaching as well. He does it through the whole Centre of Excellence plus the youth team. So we have that side of things. We have all bases covered.
Sure.
But in terms of actually using the gym, we're in negotiation now because we're trying to find the right facility so we can do it.
So anything as you grow, I suppose, Tom, is there anything you'd say in the next 12 months that we spoke about the gym? Is there anything that you'd like to add, or if there's any businesses out there listening that I suppose would need as you grow?
Is this just for the 19s or for the whole?
Just I suppose for the whole academy. How do the kids get to games right now? Have they got a minibus still?
We do have a minibus, yeah.
You have a minibus, right? Okay.
Minibus available, so we drive to away games. Yeah. I think in terms of our 19s programme, because that was a continuation from the 18s.
Yeah.
We know what we needed and we got what we wanted. In terms of that, I don't think there's anything else. Last year was difficult with the pitches at Boots and Laces because they'd been rejected for a while.
Yeah.
But now moving to Garens, it's a high quality 4G.
Yeah.
So today, where the rain is torrential, normally at Brooks Lacey last year, it would have been inside. The session would have been on.
Right.
But high quality 4G at Garens. So that was one thing that was missing from last season, having a high quality pitch.
Right.
And now we have that. I think the 19 side of things is pretty set in terms of like I said, because it was a continuation from our under 18s, we have everything in place that we want. I don't think there's too much. I said goalkeeper, coach, S&C interns.
Yeah.
We do have 3 staff members, 3 qualified coaches.
Yeah.
So we feel that the programme's in a strong place at the moment.
And so who's coaching the younger age groups? Tom, I know you do a couple of years. Who does the rest?
So I take the 16s. The rest of them have been the coaches that were already in the community trust system.
Okay. So they're the type of kids that are going out into schools?
Yes, so the coaches that were already in place. I mean, the reaction has been brilliant from them. It has been really good because they were thrown in at the deep end in terms of listen. They weren't asked, can you take an elite program? No, you are delivering an elite program. Yeah. And I think at first there was certainly a few of them that were a little bit concerned about it. But recently, particularly the last couple of weeks or so, whether there was any uncertainty before, it's gone now. Cool. I've really enjoyed the sessions, speaking to them about the games coming up. They're all telling me that I've got to go to Kingy at the Community Trust, who oversees the timetable for coaches. I've got to go to him and tell him he's got to be on this game with his team. Yeah. Whereas I think before there was a bit of hesitancy about it. But since we've started, they've been brilliant with it. They've got to grips with the syllabus really well. And they're coaching, because I go around at the end of every session. So I take the 16s, and then on a Tuesday they do an hour and a half, whereas the rest do 2 hours. Yeah. So I get round to see everyone. On a Thursday, I do an hour and 10 with the 16s. Then they go into a little bit of small-sided, but I leave them for that and get to walk around and see everyone else. In terms of what's been delivered, has been really impressive, and it's a credit to the coaches because they've had to adapt very quickly to a new challenge, and they've done that, and it's been really pleasing to see how much they've enjoyed it. That's
good. Do you feel like the community is coming together again in regards to like the youth and the football club?
Yeah, I think so. In terms of there is when we put out the trial day, for example, a lot of emails just opened with how great to see Southend do something again. It wasn't just a case of this is what here's my son, his position, can he play? I had a lot of emails saying it's great to see something starting again with the academy. It's great to see the club moving in the right direction. I feel there are a lot of people. Southend is still a big club. A lot of fans. Yeah, they get through the gates every Saturday at Roots Hall. So there are a lot of people that care, and the academy's always been a proud part of its history. Yeah, I think when you look at even in the difficult times last season when there was 12 players in the squad, 3 or 4 of them were academy players. Yeah. So the academy helped the club out massively then. Yeah. And it's always been something the club's fans have been proud of. And so I think seeing it back again, seeing it take its first steps is something that's very important for the football club and for the community.
100%. I think also supporters always love homegrown players more. Yes. So that it is you look at Orient now, there's 3 or 4 in there. It's part of, I'd say, Cat 3 Academy, right? If you can get back to being a Cat 3 Academy, you either you're trying to get kids through the system to, as you say, getting the first team saves you money, or you as a Cat 3 system, you're trying to get people through into the first team or there or thereabouts, so you can sell them, which obviously funds the football club, right? Yeah. So that's obviously a few steps away, but you're on the right path, Tom. So just to round up, before Southend, or how long have you been working at Southend?
February 2016 it was. So I started as a under-9s assistant back when the club was League One. So every age group had 2 coaches. Yeah. So I was very fortunate. I got to learn off of a league coach for 2 seasons I'd done as an under-9s, then under-10s assistant, before taking on the under-9s lead coach role. Right. I'd done 2 years as the 9s lead coach, then half a season under 12s lead coach, before taking on the full-time role as foundation phase lead.
And what would you say are your strengths as a coach?
I think as a coach, I always felt in terms of the environment created.
Yeah.
I felt I had a lot of experience working in schools before that.
Sure.
And doing the summer in America, where everything is environment.
Yeah.
So I think the environment created to let players, one, express themselves, to not make mistakes, and two, feel confident in who they are as a player. It is something that I've really been focused on, particularly younger age groups, because under nines, when you work at those age groups, nines, tens, even into 11s and 12s, mistakes are so common because you're asking to play an extreme style of football. Effectively, because it is, regardless of what the opposition do, we are going to play out from the back. We are going to press from the front. So your goalkeeper, your defenders on the pitch at the time, they are going to make a lot of errors building up from the back because that's the way football is. So it's about creating an environment where they feel comfortable enough to do that, where you can, if they do, reassure them that it's still the right thing to do, address what could have gone. Obviously, if they're given the ball away and a goal's happened, there would have been some sort of mistake in there. So you still address that, of course, but in terms of creating an environment where players feel confident enough to make those mistakes, because otherwise, if you don't have that environment, you move on to 11s, 12s, and you've got a group of players that haven't taken the risks when they needed to. In their development, so cracks will start to appear.
Where do you want to get to your coaching tour?
At the moment, I am just really enjoying the place I'm in. I think when I was asked to lead the Centre of Excellence in the summer, it was a position that I was delighted to help with, because the academy, I mean, losing the academy was a blow to everyone. But it's something that has been part of my life for a good few years now. So losing the academy, losing that 9 to 16s framework has been so important to the football club. So being asked to step back into that role, at the moment I am just really enjoying having the dual role, 18s daytime, evening and weekends, Centre of Excellence. So at the moment, in terms of where I'm looking to go, I would always just say as high as possible. But at the moment, I think the main thing is I've been at Southend so long. So I've got back to a time where I love being at Southend after what it's been for a few years is very fulfilling.
Well, I suppose you've seen the good, bad and the ugly, and now I suppose you're back at the start, and I suppose it would be a good journey to get it back to where it was. Have you got a quote or a sort of something that you live by in regards to coaching? You got a famous or something that you just try and use on a daily basis?
Not say a quote, but one thing I say to every player, Centre of Excellence, under 18s, is the 1% that was introduced by Dave Brailsford with Team Sky, I believe it was, with the cycling, just making sure that wherever you can find a 1% to be better, make sure you are. So I always say to players, as long as you leave this football pitch 1% better than you were at the start, regardless of what's happened throughout the session, whether it was a good session for you, bad session for you because technically you're off it, or whatever it was, you just leave 1% better than you were at the start of the session. Then for me, you're at 1% in week 1, 1% in week 2. If you're a Centre of Excellence player, if you're an under 19 player, you get 1% each day. Those 1% will always add up over the season, and if you can do that every single session, at the end of the season, that will make a huge difference. Every little win will make a huge difference in the season.
Thanks, Tom. Enjoyed that massively, mate. As I say, I think people know the story around the first team, probably not aware or even sort of aware of what happens to academies when they fall out of the Football League. So I really appreciate that. Obviously, as an Orient fan, I'd love to see you succeed, because obviously then you'll have an academy. We'll be back to play each other regular, and I tried to throw you off. So I gave Tom my Vanarama National League Champions mug to try and throw him off, and he told me he's supporting Man United. So, no, I really appreciate your time. Some great input there, some good insight into the new Centre of Excellence, how you're going about building that up. So, cheers, Tom, and have a great rest of the week.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
No, thanks, mate. Enjoyed that.